direction on lock, man.
All right, no, let's just go. Okay,
All right, so he's going to take the affirmative that all the denominations label Christianity should come together, and that will bring us closer to God.
No, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's go. Start. So you can start when you say the first word.
Oh, yeah, this is easy. So true contradictions don't exist. Did my time start? Sweet. True contradictions don't exist because context is everywhere. We live inside of an eternal mind, and the evidence of that is every single thing is context dependent. So we have identity claims that are necessarily relational, and the relational distinction is what is going to allow us to have contextual variants that point us in the same direction of the highest value, which is consistent and true. So it doesn't matter what denomination an individual is going to be pursuing, as long as they are pursuing love, truth, goodness, because all of these things are ontologically identical with God. And so whether you want to talk about Mormons or you want to talk about Lutherans or you want to talk about Protestants, all of these individuals are going to have a personal subjective interpretation. And through their interpretation, they are going to express what these experiences mean to them. And the more context that we have, then the more that we can contextualize what is consistently true.
Okay. You're done now? Okay. All right. So besides the fact that you're just like begging the question on your view and not providing any substance, justification for that substance. I'm wondering, when you say that God is ontologically the truth, what you mean by that?
Ontologically, in this context, is just going to be representing an unchanging universal. So God, in this context, is going to be what being is. We're going to be referring to, we're questioning our being by analyzing something within and external to us. And so our starting point is, what is being, or what does it mean to be?
Okay. So when we talk about God being like an is of identity of truth, would you say that when it comes to identifying that truth, and we have a denomination that would say that, God, i.e. Christ, is just merely a man, and another denomination saying he's a God man, right? Or he's actually the Father, but no, he's the Son, and those two denominations, would you say that both of those things are representing the truth?
If it's the case that Christ is something, then what we would pull from that is the union that Christ is something. So I think you gave 3 or 4 examples. The context of all of them is combined into Christ is something. They agree with the identity Christ is something, and then through context, we can analyze what the something is.
Yeah, something's that's just vague. I don't know why, we could say, you could put in any kind of filler in there and say, okay, Christ is Winnie the Pooh, right? But that doesn't necessarily then say that that's the truth. So I don't know how you're substantiating such a claim.
Through a system of honesty. So individuals have access to a system of communication. We can be honest, we can be dishonest, and we can lie.
How do we discern between that dishonesty? I don't understand. How do you discern between what is honest communication and what is dishonest communication?
Consistency. Breaking down the semantics to ensure epistemic consistency. So where most people in the debate space are cherry picking philosophies and epistemic positions.
Stick for consistency.
Sorry?
What's your measuring stick for consistency? Is that a universal, or is that subjective?
I think it's going to be both. So I think that what's subjective about it is our experience with consistency.
Objective here?
Objective is just going to be unchanging universal.
Okay, and subjective is?
Subjective is just going to be an honest experience, a preference, a perception, something like that. Okay, we can just go with an experience. Right. Subjective is a personal experience.
When it comes to the totality, right, of Christianity, i.e. the Bible, the tradition, the church, the history, the saints, you would say that if someone, right, has some kind of honest experience that Christ equals the Winnie the Pooh, you think they're honestly representing the truth or Christ in this statement?
Yeah, I think they absolutely can be.
The argument that you're trying to affirm is that by bringing ourselves closer to God, right? I need to yoke myself to something that's just quite obviously not true.
I think that I could prove that though, right? So you agree that
What exactly?
I think that I can prove that if an individual is honestly expressing a sincere belief that Jesus is Winnie the Pooh, then I think that yes, they could be correct. And I think I can prove yes, they could be correct. And I think I can prove why that's the case.
Well, I think for one, we're not trying to prove whether that's the case. We're
Well,
trying
I am trying to prove
why
it.
I show. Okay, yeah, but you're trying to prove, and what you've affirmed is that I need to yoke myself to that lie, and therefore it will bring me closer to God.
Sorry, you have to yoke yourself to that line? I'm confused.
Yeah, no, meaning that I have to like affirm such a thing, right?
No,
Not
necessarily, right?
I don't know what you mean by interdenominational.
So let's say Jim. And let's be honest. Jim is the type of individual to affirm this. But Jim, let's just say that he affirms that Jesus reminds him, or Winnie the Pooh reminds him of Jesus, right? And he's being honest about this. He's being sincere. I think that honesty is personally infallible through our awareness and expression. And what we're trying to do is trying to contextualize the consistency of this claim. So, for example, if Jim is reading Winnie the Pooh and he says, Winnie the Pooh is constantly full of wisdom. He takes little nuggets of the symbolism here and there, and he thinks, and we're just going to start with truth. Winnie the Pooh is the truth because of how wise he is. He can read something that to everybody else is so simple, but to Jim, it's just full of wisdom. And then we jump to Proverbs 120 to 128, I think it is. And then we recognize that Christ is wisdom. So we're using a different identity to explain what we believe wisdom is. And so now we met in the middle.
When I ask Jim, right, if he affirms something like this, right, and then when we look, right, that in the grounding of our faith and in the scripture and the understanding of that, and I say, well, look, this wouldn't be correct,
You would deny that. Would you deny that truth is wisdom?
I'm like, I don't know if we're getting away from the topic. I think, would you say in this sense that honesty, right, in the conceptualization of honesty at this point, that like correcting someone when they're wrong about something, right?
I don't know what wrong means here. I think that it's like, we'll do Flunser since I just used Jim as an example, right?
Okay.
Let's say it's either the case that Flunser is repeating something that is incorrect formally, right? So let's say that he says on page 3 of this book, it says X, right? And then I have that book and I go, actually, look, it actually says this. He's honest about his interpretation, but maybe now we have some kind of understanding that his memory isn't as good as he believes, okay?
This is how you're measuring honesty, because in this sense, like, you could sit here and say, well, look, maybe he just has a different word for something like, truth in Christ and all these things. But if you're just going to be semantically vague about what you mean by that and then give me no conception and just fill in words, then we're just in a boundless.
No, but it starts as vague. But what we believe starts up. Yeah, hell yeah, right? So if we understand that our experiences start off as vague, right? Being is vague. Justice is vague. Mercy is vague. Love is vague. Truth is vague. From that point, we contextualize that to figure out if perfect relations eternally exist.
What's the argument that I have to start with that? I don't understand. Like,
what's the argument
that starting with this sort of, conception that everything is vague or the truth is vague will then bring me closer to Christ, and then I have to tie myself to someone who denies the very divinity of Christ. So I don't know why that would be the case. Why would I have to if you're going to take someone like a Jehovah's Witness, right, as something that is an aberration of Christianity, even though they identify as Christians, right? Why should I tie myself to people who literally deny the divinity of Christ? That wouldn't bring me closer to Christ. That would literally do the opposite.
Because an honest experience of a comparative worldview strengthens.
I don't care if you have an honest experience. That doesn't mean it. Like, people honestly interact with evil spirits. That doesn't mean that that's bringing them closer to Christ.
So let's say that if an individual is truly interacting with evil spirits and then they talk to somebody about that, right? Maybe they believe in evil spirits, maybe they don't believe in evil spirits. But either way, the baseline is even. Do you agree that an evil spirit is also vague? That all metaphysical identities
No,
are
I don't
flexible?
agree with that. And I would say that
Oh,
if we wanted to bring ourselves closer to God, right, and bring them away from such evil spirits, then we need to stick to the truth of who Christ is and not to the denominations that deny who he is.
I think that we can't. If we are not open enough to value the historicity and the context of as many denominations as possible, then we will be missing the context of an honest experience.
PG, you got cooked.
GG.
Time.
I'll vote for you in the poll, by the way.
Time. All right, so I'm gonna put the poll up at the same time. The judges, please, anyone, doesn't matter who, go ahead.
I would say, I think rhetorically, Shark took the victory on that. He's a very polished communicator, especially around this particular idea. But I think Witt's reductio was particularly devastating about an evil spirit. So I think from a kind of an audience perspective, I think it's pretty hard to swallow that something like experience of a demon and thinking that that's Christ somehow bringing it closer kind of took the victory for her.
You interpreted it?
I think that's the reductio that she tried to run, and I think that was what was effective.
I missed that. I didn't catch that. That's not what I meant at all.
No, that's what she meant.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't make them more biased. I understand.
I didn't interpret it that way. I interpreted it in a similar way Shark probably did, where what he means by closer is understanding the concept more thoroughly, which, can be done in getting an account of what something evil is and what something good is. So I took the, demon reductio to be in support of his view. I was going to give it to Shark.
I think I'm gonna give. Well, for the record, I take Eeyore to be more of a figure of Christ than Winnie the Pooh.
Sorry about that. I apologize. Forgive me.
That's okay. But I think I'm gonna give the debate to Whitney. I think she had cogent
Whitney.
points that she brought up.
And
So wait, what did I misunderstand that Kate followed?
I mean, maybe
my point, right, is like.
I think Fenster asked Cage something.
Okay.
I mean, I don't care who answers.
I see how you interpreted it as, her saying, okay, well, if what you mean by closer to God is getting growing your relationship to the figure of God, whether that's Jesus or whatever, and as such, you want to, understand more about those figures specifically. I interpreted it as, well, getting closer to the concept of God, not some individualized relationship, which obviously if I learn, like if I'm in Christianity and if I come to the table and I say, hey, I think this is evil, then that's helping us get closer to the idea of God, because God is not evil, right? He's all good. So it's just helping establish those parameters.
Yeah, Flenser, the way that I intended it is that, let's say that you're encountering an evil spirit, right? You're the one expressing this is evil, but the individual believes that God is good. So we would use this contextual variant to say this thing that I experienced as evil is not good. And because now I recognize what I should deviate away from or against, because I honestly feel bad with this, you pursue something else. You pursue what is good.
Okay, I thought she was saying, responding to your claim that all subjective experiences have an element of truth in them.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, the truth
Right.
the truth value is distinct from the truth itself, where we are pursuing the truth itself through the experiences that have individual truth values. So, if God is good, which is me and Whit both hold this position to be true, and I or Whit tell you I experienced an evil demonic possession, then it would make no sense for me to say.
Like what I meant by it, it's one thing to affirm that you had an honest experience of it. It's a whole other thing to affirm, right, that your honest experience of it, and then you saying that this is like some kind of, being that brings you closer to Christ, and that affirmation of it, right? Which some denominations, right, could have some kind of, and you can take Pentecostal, like, right, they do the thing where they shake on the ground and they think they're having some honest experience of this.
Well, I don't
right?
know. I don't know. I don't know about
State
that.
of pearlescence. No, just listen. When they do these sorts of things, right? And then I say, oh yeah, no, that is something I need to affirm and say is the correct. That will bring you closer to God. I'm saying it won't, right? So you're making some kind of, like, under your view, you're saying, I'm not even sure you gave me like a measuring stick for how I go about honesty and dishonesty and wrong and not wrong. You affirm that true contradictions exist. So
Right?
I just
No.
Oh, I thought he said they
No.
don't exist.
No, the true contradictions wouldn't exist was the original thing, and so your honesty, right? Wait, your honesty is self-evident to you. Flenser's honesty is self-evident to him. You should be following your honesty with empathetic, rational consideration of that which is good and true.
That's not the argument. The argument
That
isn't
was
like
my argument.
okay, no. The argument isn't like, hey,
That's the measuring
should I
stick.
approach- okay, fuck off.
Sorry.
I'm saying like the argument isn't like how I should approach other denominations, right? Like we can say we can approach those things in love, right? But in correction. And we shouldn't affirm such heresies. So your argument is that by denying the truth, i.e. that Christ is God, we're getting closer to him.
No. An no, that's not the position. If
Yes, it is.
if an individual, okay, let's say you're talking to a Muslim, right? Let's say you're talking to a Muslim. Both you and the Muslim affirm Jesus existed, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. So now we have something that you guys agree on, where you guys are connected, but then some context has you guys separate. So you guys are connected in one sense, and you're disconnected in another sense. And now you guys can focus on either one that you want. Either you can focus on what it means for Christ to exist, or you can focus on what it means for Christ to not be God.
No. Now I just feel like all you're saying is that we should have cordial discussions about,
Yeah,
or
we
the
should be.
differences
Yes,
in
we
our
should be.
religion.
We should be
That's
having.
what you meant by the whole thing, and it's
We should be having cordial conversations with an honest consideration for our private, personal language.
That's a way bigger thing. Like you're broadening the whole conversation. It doesn't matter. I fucking won. So
You won. Yeah, Flenser misunderstood. So you won because of a misunderstanding. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I thought she was running I thought she was doing something like, well, this sect
Flenser, I
believes
literally
that a
said you can be
demon is
unbiased.
well, Flinser, you're right, because that's how I interpreted this conversation. It wasn't like, hey, we should all just like cordially talk to each other, because that's what he meant by it.
Right. Well, I thought it was just an extension of the Jesus is Winnie the Pooh, but you were taking it in like a dark
Just use
direction.
that.
Wait. But the symmetry breaker. Hang on. The symmetry breaker is me and Whit both believe that Christ is wisdom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you don't. But like, if she was worshiping Jesus as a four-sided triangle, like,
Okay,
what do you have there?
Well, I would be curious how she's contextualizing that. Why she
Like, don't worry,
believes that.
it's a divine mystery. No,
Oh,
I believe all
okay,
sorts
then-
of crazy stuff.
Okay, yeah. So then she would just be what she would be saying is God is a divine mystery.
And then
And I
you
would
make
say that's-
everything vague, and nothing has a boundary, and we can't just like
No,
everybody
no,
can just say whatever they want about who Christ is. As long as I just say he's God, we're good to go.
Well, it is the case that people can say whatever they want. The goal should be for them to
Nobody's making that argument.
The goal should be for individuals to express what they honestly believe is good based around their value system.
Pick this loser off the panel. I'm just
Man. But all right, hey, Gigi, what?
okay. Thanks.
Lancer, I'll never forgive you for this.
That's okay.
Well, you just voted for me too, right? You can go after him.
Yeah,
I
Jim
did
knows
give
I'm
you.
never-
I did give
Jim
you
knows I'm never
rhetorical
forgiving
points,
him for this.
and I talked about how
The rhetoric.
articulate you were.
I feel like I had some rhetoric, right?
Yours was ass. You won because of a misunderstanding.
Wow.
She did.
I feel like I did a pretty good job of keeping you on point. Like, fuck off.
You did good. Love you. Later, everybody.
So,
All right, wait, we're gonna split the money now, right?
so
All right,
That was our agreement. Like 10
as
minutes
agreed
ago.
to before, yeah.
so to be clear, if Wit wins, like 3 more debates, she takes home the entire 50. But if not, and Wit ends up being like the last Queen of the Hill. She takes home 20, Shark takes home 30, and then
I don't want Queen of the Hill. I want King.
oh, okay, yeah, King of the Hill. Then yeah, Wit will take home 20 for being the last King of the Hill, and Shark will take home.
I don't want to debate Manny. He talks too fast.
Let's just slow it down, okay?
I'm impaired, bro. I'm impaired, and
Okay,
I'll let you win
Manny,
if you give me half, bro. We can split the
Okay,
money.
fine. Whatever.
Yo, I don't want to hear these deals, all right? Anyway.